how am I doing when it comes to my relationship with Elise? And I've got my point that I want to say, and I've got my reasons, and I'm going to interrupt, or I'm going to like stop and trying to like do the thing that I think is right at the moment. What I really need to do is I need to yield to love. So the other day, I'm talking to the kids, and I'm like, they were fighting about something. There was some kind of argument or something like that, and coming in as dad, you know, trying to like break up the fight and trying to solve all the problems and stuff like that. And something that rubs me the wrong way are when the kids try to like, they're interrupting me, or they're just trying to make their point. They feel like they have something that they need to say, and they have to say it right at that moment, right as I'm talking to them. So they're trying to talk over me. They're, you know, not even listening to what I'm saying. And they're just set on what they want to do at that moment. And we've run into this issue a few times, and I'm trying to talk to them a little bit about trying to like help them to understand to like hold back. Like you got to like calm down, and sometimes you need to just stop what you're doing, you know. And the point that I kind of came across was like this idea of like you need to yield to love. Right? What's the loving thing to do in this situation? And I'm trying to talk to you, and you got to respect and honor your mom and your dad, because it happens to mommy too. And I say, you know, something that St. Paul teaches, and is that, you know, that every time that we honor our father and our mother, says that's the first commandment with a blessing. So I mean, I'm trying to come up with some things to help them to understand that they have this thing that they want to do, and they're trying to do it, and I'm like, hold on. So I came up with this analogy. I'm like, okay, guys, imagine this. Imagine we're going to the movies, and we got our tickets, and we're running a little late, but if we can leave now and there's no traffic, we'll be right on time. And as we're driving the intersection, we've got a green light, but all of a sudden we see sirens. We hear the sirens and the lights, and they're all of a sudden a police officer is like coming through on the other side. So what are we supposed to do? They said, we need to stop. Well, right, because why? Well, because there's an emergency, or then there's something going on, and we need to stop. Even though that we have a green light, even though that we have somewhere where we need to go, out of respect, and they have authority, that we need to slow down, stop, and let this police officer pass. I mean, it could be a police officer, it could be a firefighter trying to, you know, go to a fire and put out a fire. It could be an ambulance that has someone who needs to get to the hospital, and so out of love, we would let them go, not just out of authority but in listening to the law, but out of love, we would want them to go ahead of us, because that's more important than where we're going. Even though that we're really excited about where we're going, and even though that we're on a timeline and we got to get there, I said sometimes we need to yield. And I said sometimes when mommy and daddy are talking, you got to kind of think of it as like the sirens are on, and you need to yield to love. You need to let mommy say what mommy is saying. You need to let daddy say what we're saying, and wait to make your point. And try to, so every time when it comes down to like these times where there's this tension, where you have something that you want to say it, I want to hear it, but it's at the right time, and you got to yield to love. And as I'm saying this to the kids, I'm like, man, this sounds great. Like, I'm like, I think they can get this. I start like, that inner voice is like, Jason, how are you doing on that though? How am I doing when it comes to my relationship with Elise? And I've got my point that I want to say, and I've got my reasons, and I'm going to interrupt, or I'm going to like stop and trying to like do the thing that I think is right at the moment, when what I really need to do is I need to yield to love. I might think that I have somewhere where I need to go, or a point that I need to make, but never at the compromise of love. So it's a call that, you know, when we yield to love, when we look to make sure that when we're, you know, going into a situation, an argument or a discussion, or whatever you want to call it, that we're always going to yield to love. And when love wins, then love lives in us and with us.
Give it all away.